Hey everybody, in this video I'll quickly walk you through how localization works within COGITO. COGITO makes use of Godot's built-in POT generation. If you're not familiar with POTs, it's a common localization file format, and you can find it under the project settings, localization POT generation. Godot lets you add files, usually scene files, to this list, and any file added to this list will be included in the POT file once you click Generate POT. For COGITO specifically, we updated the parser to process COGITO resources. For example, we have items here, and you can add your items to this list, and that will make sure that they'll get added to your POT translation file. Because it can become tedious to add every single scene or resource to this list, and it also becomes a bit hard to track off. And for a third reason, we don't want to double up on too many strings to translate. We included a secondary mode of localizing certain strings within your project, and I'll show you this now. If you go to your file system, I have mine down here, and you find localization, you'll find this folder called translation keys resources. And what this is basically a custom resource type that we created that simply stores a list of strings. So for example, common interactions. Once I open this, you see it's a simple array of strings. And those strings are your localization keys. So, for example, I have translation keys for all the door interactions. I have just general interaction keys. We can reuse these keys across any kind of object. So if you have, for example, this light switch, you make your own new scene. You don't have to add each scene to your POT file. You can just set the translation key here and it will work. It will get translated whenever you switch your language. And this also enables you to customize your switches very easily in terms of localization. And I'll show you how this works in practice now. So for example, we have this switch that works as a item slot. If you've played the demo scene, you're aware this one, it is a switch in terms of how the script works, but within the gameplay context, it's kind of like a slot. We expect the player to place a battery in here. So because this is a slot, we don't want it to say in the interaction prompt, switch on, switch off. We don't want it to say on and off. We want it to say something else. We want it to say place and remove a battery. So per default, a COGITO switch will have these two keys in their interaction prompts. Switch off, switch on. So first thing is I'm gonna come up with a new key, which in this case, I'll write interact, remove, interact, place. And then I'll go to my translation key resources. I have one that's called common interactions. And I'll make sure that there's two keys added for that interaction prompt, interact, place, interact, remove. So as long as this key matches what I have set in my interactive object, in my COGITO switch, they will get translated differently to any other switch because it will always just look for this string. And if it finds it in your translation dictionary, it'll translate it accordingly. You can have as many resources as you want, and you can group that by certain use cases. We'll include a couple in COGITO that shows you how we group them. I have one for attributes, for example. I have one for the quest system. I have one for key bindings. Whatever makes sense for your project. And once we have those added, you have to go again to your localization tab in the project, to your POT generation. You want to make sure that your resource is added to this list. For example, here I have the common interaction resource added here. Then you want to click generate POT. We have one included. It's under PO files under the localization directory. So I'll save here, override it. And then in your localization editor, I like to use PO edit. It's pretty handy and it's free. You want to update. And then you can see, hey, we have new strings. Click OK. And then I'm gonna try to find the string that I just added. It should be here. There we go. Interact place, interact remove. And now here, I can type in my translation. Place and remove. Make sure this is saved. I'm also making sure that I update the German translation that I have included as a demo. Doing the same thing, update the POT file. Find the same new strings. There we go. Save this. And as soon as you save this and you go back to your project, it'll already have those translation files because we have those already added to the translation list. If you create a new one, you have to make sure to add it in your translation list. Now I've quickly started the game and I've already switched over to German. So we walk up here, you see we have our new translated switch.